Hi, Cavalier fans. Welcome back to another edition of Cavalier Conversations. Today, we are honored to be joined by David Ringwood, the newest member of our Cabrini Athletics family, and our new head men's and women's cross-country coach. David, welcome to Cabrini. Welcome to Cavalier Conversations. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Dave. Happy to be here.
All right. So, first question: how have your first couple of months been? We hired you in, I think, early July. Strange time to be starting right now, but how have the first few months gone?
They've been very well. As you mentioned, things have been a little different, but I couldn't be more happy to be surrounded by those not just part of staff, but the athletes as well. It's been such a welcome experience, and I feel as though we're all kind of in this together. It has been difficult, but in the best way. And I think that it's been a learning experience, which has been beneficial, not just to me, the team, our department as a whole. We're really kind of feeling like we're in this together.
That is 100% the truth. Yeah. So how has the season gone so far? I mean, I know we don't have competitions and we're sort of focusing on training, but how has that gone with the team?
Well, it's been great, and something that I've really tried to instill in our team and our athletes is the fact that we are really lucky as a sport. Running is something that we can do whether or not there are official competitions. There are ways to still measure our progress and ways to still move forward in ways that some sports aren't as lucky to have. So the Atlantic East Conference cross-country coaches have actually gotten together, and we've been competing in a virtual race series. So each month we've dedicated a window of time to specific events. So in September, we have the entire month as a conference and each team to run a mile as fast as we can, and then submit our times by the end of the month and see how we stack up. This month, we're in October, we're focused on the 3K, so just under 2 miles. I'm really excited. This Saturday, we're going to go out and get after it and see how we do. And then we're finishing off the fall with a 5K. And it's this great opportunity because despite not having this official competition, we can still bring together the conference and have this greater sense of purpose, not just with our team itself, but spanned across the conference and have this competition. So while it's different and while there are a lot of things that aren't necessarily falling the way that they normally do, we're still able to maintain this relatively sense of normalcy that most programs don't have the opportunity to do so. So our mindset this fall has been more so thankful that we're able to move forward in a way like this, because we recognize not every sport's able to really find that sense of normalcy that we've been kind of granted.
That's a really, really cool idea. And it gives you as a coach sort of an opportunity to coach. You know, almost like you can, as a new coach, sort of not get your feet wet, but sort of get your feet wet, and not in the traditional, 25 team meet every Saturday.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty cool. So, have you always wanted to be a coach? Is this something that sort of came about during your collegiate career?
It is something that was always in the back of my mind, in the sense that I felt at home, surrounded by running, and I always had this sense of being a student of the sport. Whether I was competing in high school, in college, post-collegiately, I always wanted to learn more. And I feel now as a coach, that's really what makes a coach. The desire to learn and understand and appreciate why runners find success. And it was throughout that kind of desire to know more, I realized the reasoning behind it was I wanted to spread that knowledge. And as a coach, I'm now given that opportunity to do so. So in college, I competed. Once I graduated, I knew that I still needed to be a part of the sport. So I've continued to compete post-collegiately on my own. But throughout that time, I was also in grad school and working as a consultant at a software company. Throughout that time, I started volunteering as a coach at Loyola University in Maryland. And it was really during that time that I realized that's where I was meant to be. I was meant to be surrounded by a program that not only made me feel at home, but helped me feel like I was putting out positivity into the world. And it was at that point that I decided to make a career shift. So I was at Loyola, Maryland for 5 years as an assistant coach for their D1 team and head coach for their club team. And now I'm at Cabrini and it feels like home. So really excited to see what the future brings.
So you got your start at the D1 level, and I'm sure there's a ton of major differences between what happens at the D1 level and the D3 level. What are some things that you think that you can sort of bring from that experience to continue to grow the Cabrini program?
So I think my experience at the Division I level was primarily influenced by seeing the balance that I think is most appropriate between treating this sport as though it is an absolute commitment while maintaining that balance that I think D3 is so kind of not just known for, but celebrated for. And I think to be able to make sure that that balance still relies on that academics as well, that athletic side is so important. But depending on the program, it might feel as though some of that gets a little lost. So I love my background coming from a Division III athlete's perspective into a Division I coach's perspective. It's really allowed me this ideal that we're not just runners, we're not just athletes, we are entire humans. And that was always my approach at the Division I level. When recruiting, I wanted to bring on talent, but I also wanted to make sure that I was bringing on athletes that would elevate the program. So I think bringing it back to that D3 level, a lot of the mindset stays the same. It's really just making sure that we commit fully, whether it's in the classroom or on the cross-country course, making sure that balance is fully committed.
And so you talked a little bit about being a Division III student athlete, and we know you were a champion at Johns Hopkins back in your day. So what is, how does that experience as a student athlete sort of affect what you do as a coach?
So I'm grateful for my time at Hopkins because we really experienced over my 4 years there a transformation with the team. When I arrived as a freshman, we were not winning our conference championship. We didn't make nationals. We were a team that was driven, I think, a lot by the younger athletes who wanted to make a big jump. And we were influenced by the upperclassmen, but it was really over the 4 years that transformation took place. And even after I graduated, it continued, and they've continued to grow and succeed even more and more. But it was realizing and seeing that growth from an athlete's perspective that I can now bring to Cabrini, because I feel like there's such a similar opportunity. The parallels are very close, and we're a young program at Cabrini, and I think there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of eagerness and willingness to get out there and commit. So it's great for me as a coach to be able to kind of fall back and remember what it was like that freshman year as an athlete and reflect on what worked and what got us there. And as a coach, guide this program in that same direction and celebrate the same sort of ideals that I see in Cabrini that we had at Hopkins, the ones that had us rise. So it's there's a lot of similarities and a lot of parallels that I am just trying to ease in the right direction.
Right. So in terms of that, what is a Cabrini cross-country runner? What are sort of some of those attributes that would make a student athlete successful in the program?
So having only been here for a couple months, I can say without hesitation that this group of runners at Cabrini, they are some of the most eager, dedicated, and supportive athletes I've ever worked with. I do not exaggerate when I say I feel inspired every day I come to practice. Just seeing their dedication and willingness to commit to themselves, their teammates, and their training is really inspiring. And that right there, I think, is what makes, just at a surface level, what's going to be a successful Cabrini cross-country runner. That said, they are a young team and there's a lot to learn. So I think it's an opportunity, like a great opportunity. We don't have predetermined expectations. We don't have these limitations set on ourselves. The fact that we are a young team who don't have so much history to look back on individually or as a program kind of gives us a sky's the limit approach. So that's what we're moving forward with.
And I assume that would be the same thing, sort of the same mindset that you would be looking for in future runners as well, in terms of those who are in high school and hoping to move to the collegiate level, hopefully at Cabrini.
Yes. And I have loved the recruiting process already. It's, as I mentioned before, I'm so focused on not just times, but the personalities and the attitudes that will help elevate the program. And there are a lot of great high school runners out there with untapped potential. As a coach, I feel confident in our ability and my coaching staff's ability to bring out a runner's potential, but to make sure that we have the right attitude and that right dynamic to the program, that's really what it's all about. So I love recruiting. I love talking to high school athletes. I could talk about running and the program all day.
That's awesome. That's great. So you did mention that you still compete. Okay, so how do you run with, do you often run with the team or challenge the team? How does you being a competitive runner also help with the team's training?
So this year is a little unique in that so far we've only been allowed to meet in person 3 days a week. So those 3 days we've dedicated to very specific workouts that as a coach, I do need to be observing and making sure that I'm keeping in line with each individual athlete. So as of yet, I've been unable to run with them. That being said, in the future, I really do look forward to it. It's something that I think is great as a coach, to be able to connect with our athletes outside of the office, outside of the pre and post practice or race atmosphere, but to simply be with them during the run. It helps bridge this gap between coach and athlete and create it more in the sense of runner and runner. And in those moments, I've found in the past are when I'm really able to kind of break down those walls and elevate that respect we have for one another. And that right there is what I'm really looking forward to. I think we've done a great job already with the communication and supporting one another, but it's those opportunities that I'm really happy to be able to provide the program and happy that they're able to provide me as well. And that said, I do think that there is this mutual respect. For me, still competing as a runner, when I see the athletes working out, when I see them doing these virtual races and time trials, I know what they're feeling, and it's not pleasant. So I can go back in their shoes and respect what they're experiencing in that moment. And conversely, as athletes looking to me, they can think about their training, oh man, this hurts today. I can't believe Coach Ringwood is making us do this. Well, I guess he does this himself, so he wouldn't write this training if he didn't know it was going to be appropriate. So I think it's a two-way street. the fact that we're all out there kind of together mentally, we can support each other even more so.
So what is your future outlook for the program? I mean, where do you hope the program is in a year and 5 years?
I'm so excited, and I touched on this a little bit already, but I truly think the sky is the limit approach is the way we're headed. I'll use as an example Sam Frederick, a freshman runner for our women's program. This is her first year of cross country. She started running track last spring, which was abruptly cut short due to COVID.
Right.
So this is effectively her first true season of running. And one of her first practices with the team, we did a time trial. And she went out and held on to the men's program, the male runners, for as long as possible. She didn't finish with them, but she went out without these limits, without these predetermined expectations, without anything holding her back. And that's the kind of attitude that I think represents this program. We're not out here putting limits on ourselves. And as I mentioned, through the fall, we've had this virtual race series. I've been very happy with the way we've stood up against the other Atlantic East programs. I respect the talented competition, the skilled coaches, the programs that are in this conference, but to be perfectly honest, next year when we toe the line for cross country, I'll put us head to head against anyone. I'm excited. So for the future, for next year, I'm excited to just come out swinging at conferences and go for a podium finish, maybe see how high we can go, return to the NCAA regional meet, and 5 years down the line, I don't know, championships, sky's the limit. I'm just excited, and there's so much potential with this program.
If I were a runner, I would say you have me excited to run. I'm not a runner, so I'm not going to go out there. But this is awesome. I'm very excited for the cross-country program, Dave. You are a great addition to not only to our family, but to the program. And I look forward to seeing what you and the runners can do in the future. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. Thank you for tuning in, Cavalier fans, and we will see you on the next edition of Cavalier Conversations. Thanks. Go Cavs.